lives of 3 children and 6 adults, according to the Federal Road Safety Corps. And the driver, upon sighting the police checkpoint, tried to apply.
Sorry, Honorable Gagdi was distracting me. Sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Finally, recall that most recently, on Sunday, the 28th day of November 2021, a trailer carrying a container load of goods ran over 20 public road users on that spot of the police checkpoint, thereby killing over 20 persons. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, the House resolves to observe a minute silence for the souls of those that have lost their lives in various accidents at the police and military checkpoints along the Onitsha-Owerri Road in Ihiala Federal Constituency, especially the fatal accident of Sunday, 28 November 2021, which in Ihiala is referred to as the Black Sunday. To mandate the Inspector General of the Police to direct the Commissioner of Police, Anambra State, to review the location of the police checkpoints in Ihiala Federal Constituency with a view to forestalling further occurrence of such disaster, especially during this festive season, as the checkpoint is located in between 2 petrol stations, just at the tip of the slope of the road. Finally, to mandate the House Committee on Police Affairs and Legislative Compliance to ensure compliance. So move, Mr.
Speaker. Deputy Whip, Honorable Ikiru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Kiru Kaunye George. I represent the good people of Isukwatu Federal Constituency. I am from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to second the motion as heavily moved by Chairman Justice Honorable Moma. I so second.
Okay, let me give Honorable Ifeanyi 1 minute to talk about this.
Thank you very much once again, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Summarily, indeed, what happened on Sunday, 28th day of November, we term it a Black Sunday in Ihiala because we commend the police for the checkpoints and for what they've been doing. Indeed, it has helped improve the security situation. But this particular checkpoint that is located at the axis, which is the slope, the edge of a slope, is located just in between 2 major big fuel stations. And on Sunday, because of the routine check at the checkpoints, a trailer that was laden with lots of goods lost brake and crammed over 2 dozens of people. The policemen absconded. The area police command, everybody left the command. Nobody was there to be seen. Bodies were littered all over the street. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I personally traveled home on Monday to go and have a meeting with the youths of the community because they were putting themselves together to go and attack some of these police stations because of some of these inhumane and degrading things that they have encountered there. So I just want to plead with my honorable colleagues that indeed, as much as we commend the police in what they are doing and the military in what they are doing, I want to plead with this honorable house that whenever the police want to locate police checkpoints, the area in which the checkpoints should be located should be put into consideration. And Mr. Speaker, this is a festive season. We're approaching a festive season. A lot of people from different places come back home. So please, I would like the House to look into this issue holistically with a view to forestalling similar actions like that. Thank you very much.
Honorable Gagdi, 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I'm Yusuf Gagdi. I represent Panshinkanke Kanam Federal Constituency. I'm from Plateau State, Mr. Speaker. First, my opinion was to support this motion in total, but I have little advice to honorable colleagues and to you in particular, Mr. Speaker. We have been screaming here for security presence in different locations in this country. Issue of insecurity have always echoed in your 9th Assembly legislative agenda. And here we have communities that have checkpoints for the purpose of protecting lives and properties of the people as one of the primary responsibility of government. Mr. Speaker, I think we must caution them to be careful of the way they discharge their constitutional responsibility, not to stampede the rights of the citizens of those communities, as the motion moved by rightly put. But Mr. Speaker, it will be strange if I have a checkpoint in my community and maybe as a result of nocturnal behavior of those security agencies, my community will want to attack security agencies. Mr. Speaker, it sounds a bit strange to me. So yes, activities of the security agencies at different checkpoints must be checkmated. They shouldn't take maintenance of laws and order for granted and begin to trample upon the fundamental rights of citizens of this country. But again, the citizens of this country whose security presence is for their own good, it's for the protection of their own lives and properties, it's for their own safety, should equally not take that for granted to even start putting themselves together with the name of attacking either checkpoints or police formations. Mr. Speaker, we must be careful. The motion is good, I support it, but again, the citizens too must be cautioned not to take laws in their own hand. There are different communities, Mr. Speaker, that members scream on the floor of this house, trying to have security presence. I have problem in Panshinkanke Kanam Federal Constituency of Plateau State. I don't even see those checkpoints, let alone controlling the excesses of those security personnel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Koko, 1 minute, and then Honorable Toby, and then we'll put the question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I remain Sheikh Mohammed Koko from Kebbi State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to add my voice and support the motion moved by my good friend, Honorable Momo. But like we have all know, the policy direction of this administration, the federal government led by President Muhammadu Buhari, is to check out all illegal checkpoints in the country. They say zero roadblocks and road checkpoints within the country. But I doubt it if what Mr. Momo or the policemen stationed at that particular time, if there are illegal checkpoints there. But it's good, like you have said, they should commission an investigation to find out, are these policemen they are stationed there, legally stationed there? And secondly, is it the prerogative of the Inspector General of Police to relocate a police station, not the Commissioner of Police, like Momo have said? It's a good thing. We should bear in mind, we should tell Nigerians of what the police are doing day in, day out, trying their best to protect us. For one incident or the other, citizens should not take laws into their hand, like what my colleague have just said, Honorable Gagdi, that should move the police. No, you should find out, leaders are there. It's a good thing what Honorable Momo has done to rush home and call his young people to advise them, don't do this, he's going to take it by himself to find out what is happening. I have to congratulate you for doing that to avoid this kind of happenings. It's a good thing. That's my own contribution, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Toby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Toby Okechukwu, and I represent an area of Wadi River Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I appreciate the sentiments and worries of our communities who have lost their lives based on accidents on our roads. Sometimes people are motivated to take certain actions essentially because some other thing has happened. A road accident, people are killed, and what do you expect the citizens to do? I also appreciate the enormous job being done by our men and women in uniform. There are the people who are put at risk, having maximum exposure to risk, and they go out to defend our lives, and that is why we're able to enjoy some of the peace we do. I think the main sentiment and argument of Ifeanyi is that we should look at the propriety of the location of the checkpoint to ensure that we don't expose ourselves to accidents where sentiments of citizens are aroused. I do not think he is in any way encouraging any attack on any police. What he has expressed is steps he has taken to mitigate any situation that could be untoward, and that we appreciate. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, when you engage in a quarrel for too long and you talk about it for too long, you may no longer understand the reason you are quarreling with somebody, including your wife, Mr. Speaker. You could quarrel with your wife or anybody. Sometimes you abuse yourself so much, you will forget what is the reason you are quarreling. You will talk about how you have been abusing each other. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, what is the reason why there are checkpoints on our roads? The roads are in very bad state. If the roads are in good shape, there wouldn't be any need for checkpoints. The vehicles will be moving seamlessly. And the police should actually be on patrol. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying this because this particular Onitsha Owerri road, as well as 12 other roads in this federation, have been concessioned. They have been concessioned to entities, to corporate personalities, to corporate bodies, and the expectation is they should intervene. It's already over 6 months. Must it last forever? And they are supposed to enjoy tax relief. It has come to a time when these corporate bodies, from Dangote to MTN to all these other corporations, will now be expected to go to the field. Mr. Speaker, for us to address the fundamental issue, I think it has come to a time when this parliament, and you have been proactive in this direction. The House has been proactive, the Senate has been proactive. We passed the road fund bill. We also passed the roads authority bill. These are things that should guide the framework, legal framework for operation of these entities in terms of concession of roads. Mr. Speaker, I would think that it would be proper and suitable at this point in time that the House Committee on Works should investigate the status of those concessions that have been done 6 months ago. Why are we not seeing the effects on our roads? Because some concessions have worked. We need to know what is the status of these ones. So I hereby move and amend that the House Committee on Works should investigate the status of concessions that have been given out for the past 6 months and report back to the House within 2 weeks.
Honorable Bagos, what's your amendment? Your mic is not working. Okay, there you go.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. I'm Dachu Musa Bagos, representing the good, great people of Jos South, Jos East Federal Constituency from the peaceful state of Plateau. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, rising from the motion, we know that because of some of these checkpoints, so my amendment is that the House should mandate the Inspector General of Police to ensure the removal of illegal checkpoints across the country. So much.
Anybody want to second that? The removal of illegal checkpoints. Are you saying the removal of checkpoints or the removal of illegal checkpoints? That's the operative word, illegal. For the IG to remove illegal checkpoints. No, I understand. I just wanted to clarify. Not all checkpoints, just the illegal ones. But I don't know how do you define which one is legal?
Maybe, Mr. Speaker, maybe illegal and unnecessary checkpoints.
All right. Any seconder? Any seconder? Honorable Nalaraba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My highly respected colleagues. Abubakar Hassan Nalaraba is my name. I represent the good people of Awedo Makiana Federal Constituency. I am from Nasarawa State, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the amendment ably moved by my fellow colleague, Honorable Bagos. I so second. Thank you.
Those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Ben Ibakwa, you have an amendment? Okay, what's your, hold on. Yeah, Honorable Ben, what's your amendment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. My amendment is on the process, what they have. These days, you drive along the road and they have logs of wood, impediment, barriers everywhere. Not just the police, not just the army, both the civil defense, and there's another one, whether IG monitoring. They have wood across the road, and that wood is actually affecting the lifespan of our roads. Because anywhere they place those barriers, by the time, if they are there for just 1 month, the road there will become eroded and they go back. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to amend that they should remove all those wooden barriers in any checkpoints across the Federation because it's affecting the lifespan of our road. I beg to move.
Any seconder? Honorable Akwata Singh, 1 second.
Mr. Speaker, I am Comrade Peter Ohiotuji Akwata Singh. I represent the great people of Akoko Edo Federal Constituency. I second the motion ably moved by my colleague who represent me, Wari. I so move.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Hold on a second before we hit the gavel. Honorable Ben Igbakwa's motion, amendment is that the checkpoints and the barriers are just too many. You have civil defense, you have the army, you have the police, you have everybody, and the consequences as barriers end up even destroying the integrity of affecting the integrity of the road itself. So maybe we put the question again. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Who has an amendment? Those in favor of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable, point of order, minority leader. What's your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Ndudi Godwin Elmelu, and I represent the good people of Anocho Federal Constituency. I'm from Delta State. Mr. Speaker, I come under 3 orders. Order 6 Rule 2, Order 8 Rule 5, and Order 20 Rule 72A. 72A. And if I take the last one, it calls for, that is legislative compliance. Mr. Speaker, on the 9th of November, we passed a resolution rising from the mixing of one of the journalists that reports for Vanguard on this floor. And of course, you made some pronouncements. And we gave our committee 2 weeks to make their findings and report back to this House, even though we heard that eventually the young man was found dead. But by compliance, the committees have not even come here to submit their report and even tell us what happened. What we are hearing from the grapevine is that that young man is going to be buried on the 11th of this month. And the committees that have been given 2 weeks are yet to even submit their report. Mr. Speaker, it doesn't tell well of our committees that are given an assignment and they fail to make submission of their findings for the House to take a decision. Maybe, even in the course of findings, they may also profile some solutions that can lead to an advice that we can give to members of the public in a manner in which they can move whenever they are moving around within either the cities or rural areas. It's not just about whether we found him dead or not, but the findings and what led to it and what else to do. These are things that I think I'm worried about that our committee has failed to do. This is my submission, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Chairman, Committee, Legislative Compliance, is he here? Legislative Compliance, is he here? Clerk, please contact Legislative Compliance. We need the report submitted on the floor by Tuesday latest. Or, I believe it was Legislative Compliance. Or, no. Honorable Elumelu, it was Legislative Compliance is to make sure that they comply, but which was the primary committee? And so, Honorable Maki, at least you're here representing the 3 joint committees. Please let us have a report by Tuesday latest on your findings, what happened, so that we can know what next step to take. Noted. Please have it in the Hansard that Honorable Maki stood up on behalf of the committees and said there was no problem. On Tuesday, they will have... Thank you. Honorable Ifeanyi's prayers included a 1 minute silence, which we overlooked. Can we please rise for a minute silence? May the souls of the departed rest in peace. Honorable Honorable colleagues, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day emblems are available at the entrance of the chambers. So honorable members are advised to collect their own emblems from the entrance of the chambers as you sign in. Honorable Honorable Ego, quickly move your motion. He's not here. So we'll move on to, somebody has a personal explanation. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Emeka Chinedu. I represent the good people of Ahazum Bisesi, the federal constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Imo State. Mr. Speaker, I want to bring a very important issue to your notice. I noticed yesterday in the other paper that a bill which I moved sometime in July, precisely on the 6th of July, was listed on the other paper of yesterday without my knowledge. Mr. Speaker, you know that if one is listing a bill or a motion, we'll write to you and you endorse it before listing. So I was shocked yesterday to see this same bill being listed on the other paper of yesterday, which I never authorized. I don't know the intention of listing this bill again. You know the controversy this bill generated. So I would like you to investigate how this particular bill came to the other paper, because I never authorized listing of any bill. I don't need the intention of listing the bill again. That is my personal explanation, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
What was this bill?
The bill is Criminal Code Act Amendment HB 1482. The bill seeks to cure mob action in Nigeria, but if you recall, it was twisted that it was to jail protesters. So I don't know the intention of this bill being released again on the other paper after I've written to the House that I'm withdrawing the bill. And the bill was withdrawn, so I don't know how it came into the other paper again. So I want you to investigate how this bill came into this other paper again, Mr. Speaker.
But you don't think your explanation at that time that the bill, the intention of the bill was not to stop or jail protesters, that you were misquoted or misrepresented, you don't think that is sufficient? You just don't want the bill anymore?
Yeah, I wrote to the House that I'm withdrawing the bill. My worry here is that how did the bill resurface into the other paper again? Because I never authorized it. How did it come back to the other paper? I never authorized for the bill to be listed on the floor of the House again. So that's my worry. So I think
what may have happened was you wrote to the House, but you did not formally withdraw the bill on the floor.
No, I did. You
did? Okay.
Yes.
Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, we have a discharge. He did not formally withdraw the bill. So the bill is still in the chart. So we follow the chart to produce all our other papers. So if he's now formally presenting before the House that he's no longer formally withdrawing the bill stands withdrawn. So he has to come by motion, he has to move a motion to formally withdraw the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, I think maybe perhaps what you did was to step it down, which is different from withdrawal. We'll suspend our rules, just go ahead and verbally withdraw it now. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Emeka Chinedu. I represent the good people of Ahazum Bisesi, the federal constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Imo State. I want to move a motion, I hereby move a motion that the bill on the Criminal Code Act Amendment, HB 148 be withdrawn on the floor of this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Mzondo.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Benjamin Bem Mzondo. I speak for the people of Makudi Guma. We are from Benue State and the unofficial speaker of the Teaming Unemployed Youth of Nigeria. I rise this morning to second the motion that the bill be withdrawn on the floor of this House. I so move. So second, sir.
Chairman, business. Wait, what rule direct us to the rule that says that if you want to withdraw your own bill, it has to be by way of motion and seconded? Because that way he runs the risk now of his application for withdrawal to be negative by the House and he's forced to take his bill. So which rule says that it must be a formal motion? Why can't he just stand up under privilege and say he's withdrawing his bill?
You are right, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. All right. So bill withdrawn. Another point of order.
I remain Honorable Emeka Chinedu. I represent the good people of Ayas in the Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I would like an open apology to how that bill came into the order paper. Please, I demand an apology, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
You're pushing the envelope. You want an apology from who? I apologize that your bill came up again. Okay. The first order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal College of Complementary and Alternative Medicine of Nigeria and Abuja, and to make comprehensive provisions for its due administration and for related matters. Standing in the name of the House Leader, honorable members will recall that the bill was transmitted from the Senate seeking concurrence of the House and read the first time on Tuesday, 9th November 2021. I now invite the Leader to move that the bill be read a second time.
Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I am Comrade Peter Huyozuja Apatasin MNI. I represent the people of Akoko Edo Federal Constituency, and I'm from Edo State. I move that a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Complementary and Alternative Medicine of Nigeria, Abuja, and to make comprehensive provisions for its due administration and for related matters, HB 1649, be read for the second time. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Any seconder, please? Honorable Yusuf, please second. Gagdi.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I rise to second a motion heavily moved by my colleague. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Say. It's a concurrence bill from the Senate. Anybody want to speak against it? Otherwise, we'll just put the question. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against it, say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members,
A bill for an act to provide for establishment of Federal College of Complementary and Alternative Medicine of Nigeria, Abuja, and to make comprehensive provisions for its due administration and for related matters. Second reading.
Bill referred to the Committee of the Whole. The second order of the day is commencement of debate. This is a bill from Leader Ataka Adekoya. Commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Entrepreneurship and Skills Acquisition in Ijebu-Ife, Ogun State. Provide full-time courses, teaching, instruction, and training in technology, applied science, arts, social sciences, humanities, and management, and for related matters, starting in the name of Honorable Adeshegun Majid Adekoya. Honorable members recall that the bill was read the first time on Wednesday, 24th of November 2021. I now invite Honorable Adekoya to move that the bill be now read a second time. Honorable Adekoya, I believe this is all about leadership. Your bill was read for the first time last week, 24th of November, and now is already for second reading. Meanwhile, there are members here whose bills have been pending for quite a while. It's about leadership, isn't it? Go ahead. Go ahead. It's a great bill. It's a fantastic bill. Go ahead. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Adeshegun Abdul Majid Adekoya. I am representing Ijebu North, Ijebu East, Ogun Waterside Federal Constituency. I'm an Ijebu man from Ogun State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Entrepreneurship and Skill Acquisition in Ijebu, Ogun State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instruction and training in technology, applied sciences, arts, social sciences, humanities and management, and for related matters. Mr. Speaker, I move that the bill be allowed to be read the second time. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Leader Gideon, please second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Gideon Gwani. I come from Kaduna State and I represent Kaura Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by Honorable Adekoya. I so second.
Honorable Ataka, this is like a job creation bill. I think it's pretty straightforward. Establishment bill. Let's just put the question, or you want to say something about it? Straightforward. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Federal College of Entrepreneurship and Skills Acquisition, Ijebu-Ife, Ogun State, to provide full-time courses, teaching, instruction and training in technology, applied science, arts, social sciences, humanities and management, and for related matters. Second reading.
Thank you. Bill referred to the Committee on Tertiary Education and Services. Commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Chartered Institute of Emergency, Crisis, and Disaster Risk Management, and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Abubakar Hassan Fulata and four others. Honorable members, we recall that the bill was read for the first time Tuesday, 9th November, and I invite Honorable Fulata to move that the bill be now read a second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues.
Chairman, you're the Chairman of Business and Rules. Okay, I see that your bill was read for the first time 9th November, and it's already here for second reading. So, up chair, continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I am Abubakar Hassan Flata. I represent Peniwa, Krika Sama, Gudi Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker. I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I move that a bill for an act to provide for establishment of Chartered Institute of Emergency, Crisis and Disaster Risk Management and for related matters, HB 1707, be read second time. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Fulata. Honorable, any seconder? You want the second is real? Go ahead.
My name is Honorable Nazib Sani. I represent Gumel, Megacharisila Tankaka, and Gagara Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Jigawa State. I rise to second the bill raised by Honorable Fletcher. I so second, sir.
Thank you. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk, please read the long title.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to provide for establishment of Chartered Institute of Emergency, Crisis and Disaster Risk Management and for related matters, second reading.
Bill referred to the Committee on Emergency and Disaster Preparedness. Commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of a Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery, Sobe, Edo State, and for related matters standing in the name of Honorable Julius Nyobere. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Tuesday, Tuesday, 6th July 2021, and I invite Honorable Nyobere to move that the bill is read a second time.
Mr. Speaker, I'm Professor Julius Nyobere, Owa Federal Constituency, Edo State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to move that a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery, Sobe, Edo State.
Honorable Pascal and your group, please take your seats. Honorable Pascal, Chairman Health Institutions.
Pascal. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Honorable Osby, please take your seat. Honorable Osby, please take your seat.
Honorable Kola, yeah, go ahead.
The leader also take your seat. Osby and the leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, thank you. My name is Kola Lawal. I'm from Ogun State, Mr. Speaker, and I represent Iwa South Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion of our prof here. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, seconded. Put a question. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk, wrong title.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to provide for establishment of Federal College of Nursing and Midwifery, Sobe, Edo State, and for related matters, second reading.
The bill is referred to the Committee on Health Institutions. Fifth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to provide for establishment of the Federal School of Nursing and Midwifery, Mushin, Lagos, and for related matters standing in the name of Honorable Ali Adeyemi Taufik. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Tuesday, 13th July 2021, and I invite Honorable Taufik to move that the bill be read the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ali Adeyemi Taufik is my name. I represent Mission 1, Fire Constituency in Lagos. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move for the establishment of a bill for an act of establishment of Federal School of Nursing and Midwifery in Mushin, Lagos State, and for other related matters. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Ganiu Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Abdul Ghani Johnson. I represent the good people of Oshodi, Isolo, Federal Constituency 2. I rise to support, to second the motion ably moved by my friend, my brother, Honorable Ali. I so second. Thank you, sir.
Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to provide for establishment of Federal School of Nursing and Midwifery, Mushin, Lagos State, and for related matters. Second reading.
Okay, I think we have one more establishment bill before we go into major issues. The sixth order of the day is commencement of debate on the general principle of a bill for an act to establish the federal. Sorry, that last one is referred to the Committee on Health Institutions. Of the day is commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to establish the Federal Polytechnic Tombia for the training of graduates in sciences, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics, and for related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Dagogo Farah. Honorable members will recall that the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 6th May 2021, and I invite Honorable Farah to move that the bill be read the second time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues. Mr. Speaker, my name is Dagogo Dr. Farah, represent Degema Bonne Federal Constituency. I'm from Rivers State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move for a bill for an act to establish Federal Polytechnic, Tombia, for the training of graduates in science, technology, engineering, art, mathematics, and for related matters. I now move for the second reading of the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Bob Solomon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Solomon Bob. I represent Ahoda East and Abua Odua Federal Constituency of Rivers State. Rather, Abua Odua and Ahoda East Federal Constituency of Rivers State. I rise to support the motion very ably moved by my friend and brother, Honorable Farah Dagogo. I so support.
Okay, so it's been seconded. So let's just go ahead and put the question. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Clerk. No problem.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish Federal Polytechnic Tombia for the training of graduates in sciences, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics, and for related matters. Second reading.
To the Committee on Tertiary Education. Seventh order of the day is motion on urgent need to recover outstanding debts. Honorable members, can you please take your seats? Please take your seats. Honorable members, please take your seats. Thank you. The seventh order of the day is a motion on urgent need to recover outstanding debts owed the federal government by oil and gas companies in Nigeria. Standing in the name of Honorable Ahmed Munir. Honorable Munir is invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable,
thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, my names are Honorable Ahmed Munir.
Leader, you're welcome.
Representing the good people
We don't know when you
and
came in.
hard-working people of the federal constituency of Kaduna State. And so I rise to emphasize the urgent need to recover outstanding debts to service economic growth and development owed to the government by oil and gas companies in Nigeria. The House notes that according to the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, 77 oil and gas companies operating in Nigeria are owing the federal government over 2.6 trillion naira. Also notes that the debts accrued from failure of the firms to remit petroleum profit tax, company income tax, value added tax, withholding tax, royalties, penalties, and concession on rentals to the federal government. Concerned that such a huge debt is being overlooked at a critical time when the country needs funding for its annual budget. Cognizant that if debts are recovered, the money could be used to service some of the federal government's debt as well as fund up to 16.2% of the 2022 budget deficit. Also cognizant that recovery of these debts is critical in this period of dwindling revenues, especially as the COVID-19 pandemic has grossly affected the country's economy. The House resolves to urge the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, and the Federal Inland Revenue Service to provide necessary data needed to facilitate recovery of debt owed the federal government by oil and gas companies. Mandate the Committee on Finance to liaise with the relevant agencies to ensure that the 77 oil and gas companies pay the respective accrued debts to the federal government. Thank you.
Honorable Munir, are you sure about this, the allegations here that the oil companies owe 2.6 trillion? That's a colossal amount. You've done your homework. It's terrible. That means our standing committees have not been up and doing. 2.6 trillion, it's a lot.
It's a lot, sir. It's a lot, sir.
Leader, did you hear what Honorable Munir's motion was, or what he said? That the oil companies owe Nigeria 2.6 trillion in revenue. That is terrible, isn't it?
Mr. Speaker, I am not quite sure whether he is on top of his data, but I believe when it's pushed to the relevant committee, such things can be done.
Yeah. I'm almost inclined to make it an ad hoc committee because where were the relevant committees, assuming that this is true? Where were they in their oversight?
I believe so. I also would like to use the opportunity to remind Honorable Monir that he still has not moved. He only finished narration. At the end, he sat down without actually moving that I so moved. He did not move. So he just made some statements on the floor of the House, which he has not moved as a motion.
I see.
Yes.
So he did not now say, I so move. Honorable Monir, can you so move, please? Honorable Leader of the House, can you, since you just came in, we haven't seen your right, can you second Honorable Monir?
That means this is the mother of all motions.
Yes.
A motion that is ably moved by a 3-month or 4-month-old member of the House and is being coincidentally seconded by a 3-decade-old member of the House of Representatives. I therefore move to second that the motion be taken as a motion like you rightly directed.
Thank you, Leader.
I thought second.
Thank you, Leader. Leader has put the weight of the House behind it. Honorable Munir, we're taking you for your word. We're going to set up an investigative committee. Somebody have an amendment? You said, Isiaka, you have an amendment? Let's not dilute this motion. No. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The first area solicitor of Egbalan, Ibrahim Ayokunle Isiaka, Ifo, Iweko Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, my amendment is to add prayer 3 to his prayers. And my prayer 3 is premised on between the oil producing companies and that of the NNPC federal government as being represented.
Sorry, can you speak up?
There had been these reconciliatory efforts as far as the money the federal government, that is the cash calls, and that of what the oil companies are owing the federal government. Now to guide the House so that we will be on the proper, I want to include that they should carry out a proper reconciliation of what the oil companies are owing the government and what the government too is owing the oil companies. Yeah. It is in that right perspective that we can get full cooperation of what we're actually looking for. So that's my amendment.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
All right. So the government is owing them as well. So it's a question of setting off and knowing what is actually owed. Honorable Alims, I saw you nodding your head. You want a second? Yes.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Abdullah Ibrahim Alims is my name. I represent the good people of Ankpa, Omala, Olamboro, Federal Constituency. I'm from Kogi State. I rise to second the amendment as moved by Honorable Ibrahim. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support of the amendment, please say aye. Who's against this saying aye? Ayes have it. Should we just put the question? Those in support of the motion? Do you have an amendment? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain honorable to the God with the maid, and I represent the good people of Anyocho Shumli Federal Constituency. I'm from Delta State. Based on your pronouncement, we feel that we should set up an ad hoc committee. So the amendment should read to set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the allegation and report back to the House within 4 weeks.
Any second, Honorable Mama.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Ifeanyi Chudimoma, speak for Ihiala, Federal Constituency. I rise to second the amendment as moved by the minority leader of the House. I so second.
Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Leader, maybe you liaise with the minority there. Please give us a list of 12-man committee to look into this, so I can announce it. But include the mover of the motion.
As the chair pleases.
Yeah, thank you.
As the chair pleases.
In favor of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, say nay. Ayes have it. Eighth order of the day is a motion calling for urgent response to devastating floods in Ebonyi State, standing in the name of Honorable Chinedu Oga. Honorable Oga is invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Oga has asked me to withdraw the motion as it has been overtaken by events.
He asked you to withdraw it. I thought he had to bring a motion. Motion withdrawn, yes. The ninth order of the day is a motion on need to provide security measures on federal, government, and private schools in Nigeria. Standing in the name of Honorable Taiwo Oluga, Honorable Oluga is invited to move the motion. Isn't this what the Safe Schools Initiative is about? But anyway, go ahead. It's a good motion. I just want to make sure we haven't. Honorable Oluga.
Right, Honorable Speaker, respected colleagues, Taiwo Oluga is my name. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Osun State and I speak on behalf of all the people of Urewoli Federal Constituency. I rise this afternoon to move for the need to provide security measures in federal government and private schools in Nigeria. The House notes that Section 14(2)(b) of the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, provides that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. While Section 18 of the Constitution provides for the educational objective of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and mandate the federal government to ensure equal and adequate educational opportunities for all citizens at all levels, and also that government must strive to eradicate illiteracy, provide free, compulsory, and universal primary and secondary education. The House also notes that regardless of those objectives, the United Nations International Children Emergency Fund, UNICEF, reports of 2018 stipulated that every 5 out of the school children in the world, 1 is a Nigerian child. The report further states that approximately 10.5 million, Mr. Speaker, children in Nigeria between 5 and 14 years of age are out of school. 60% of 6 to 1 year of age children regularly attend primary schools, and only 3.5% of the children of age between 36 months and 59 months receive early child education. The House is aware that despite these frightening statistics on education in Nigeria, there is an aggressive assault on education in Nigeria, mainly the dreaded Boko Haram and bandits in the north that have developed a panchayat for massive adoption of children, thereby increasing the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria. The House concerned that despite this development, the Federal Ministry of Education, the State Ministry of Education, the private school owners have not taken steps to provide adequate security in schools across the country to prevent attack. The House concerned that despite this development, the Federal Ministry of Education and State, the House also appreciates the federal government's intervention in school feeding program. However, there is an urgent need to provide adequate security in schools in the country to ensure the safety of the school. The House resolved, 1, urge the federal government to deal more decisively with the issue of banditry and kidnapping in Nigeria and consider proscribing kidnappers as terrorists. 2, also urge the Federal Ministry of Education to deploy technology and logistics to provide security in government schools in Nigeria. 3, further urge all private schools owners across the country to deploy adequate securities in their school. And 4, the last one, mandate the Committee on Education and Services to ensure compliance. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. Thank you, honorable colleagues. I remain Honorable Vincent Ekene Ofumelo. I represent the good people of Oyi, and I am in Federal Constituency. I'm from Anambra State. I rise this morning to second this powerful motion moved by a committee member where I deputize, Honorable Loluga. It's an important motion. I so second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. The 10th order of the day is a motion on need to ascertain the total consolidated inventory assets, interests, and liabilities of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and its subsidiaries before transfer to the NNPC Limited to ensure a glossary accounting system standing in the name of Honorable Ibrahim A. Isiaka. Honorable Isiaka is invited to move the motion. Honorable Isiaka.
Honorable Mashama, approach the Chief Whip. Honorable Mashama, approach the Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. As for leader of the press, Honorable Rep. Ibrahim Ayobule Isiaka, I speak for and on behalf of the good people of Ifo, a week federal constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Ogun State. I ask Mr. Speaker to move this motion of very important to the nation, which is on the need to ascertain the total consolidated inventory, assets, interests, and liabilities of the Nigerian Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, and its subsidiaries before the transfer to the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPC Limited, for and to ensure a grocery accounting system.
Attacker.
The House notes that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, was established on April 1st, 1977, as a merger of the Nigerian National Oil Corporation and the Federal Ministry of Petroleum and Energy Resources. Also notes that NNPC is empowered to manage the joint venture between the federal government and several foreign multinational corporations with assets and interests in land, swamp, continental shelf, and deep waters. Aware that in 1988, the NNPC was commercialized into 12 strategic business units covering the entire spectrum of oil industry operations, including exploration and production, gas development, refining, distribution, petrochemicals, engineering, and commercial investments, among others. Also aware that in line with Section 53(1) of the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited was registered and incorporated by the Corporate Affairs Commission on September 22, 2021 as a limited liability company with an initial capital of 200 billion naira which was regarded as the highest share capital holding in Nigeria. Cognizance of Section 53(3) of the PIA, which vests ownership of the NNPC Limited in the federal government through the Ministry of Finance, which are both financed by the Nigerian people, but recognizes NNPC Limited as an agent. Also cognizance that Section 88 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, empowers the National Assembly to carry out investigations into matters to which it has powers to make laws. Further cognizance on the need to boost investors' confidence and enhance transparency and efficiency in the supply chain management of the newly established NNPC Limited, owing to the outstanding credit sales and the much needed revenue by the federal government of Nigeria to support the annual budget. The House resolves mandate the Committees on Finance, Petroleum Resources upstream, Petroleum Resources downstream, and the gas resources to conduct investigation into the consolidated inventory, assets, interests, and liabilities of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and its subsidiaries to ensure a legitimate transition process of NNPC into NNPC Limited, and report back within 8 weeks for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, sir.
We have a seconder. No, not.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Dennis Idahosa. I represent Ovia Federal Constituency. I'm from Edo State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my colleague, Honorable Isiaka, and so second.
Okay. Moved by Honorable Isiaka, seconded by Idahosa. I think it's clear, or do you want to add some flesh to this?
Amendment.
Honorable Isiaka, is it clear enough, or you want to just very clear? Amendment? Chief Whip.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Martin Monguno, Ganze Federal Constituency of Borno State. Mr. Speaker, my amendment is with regard to the prayer. The prayer is urging for membership of Committee on Finance, Petroleum Resources upstream, Petroleum Resources downstream, and gas resources. About 4 committees is involved. It is unwieldy. That means it will be about 200 members. So in view of that, I craving for the indulgence of the House to form a very small ad hoc committee to investigate the matter, because it will be much more efficient and effective rather than having about 200 members.
Okay. Honorable, the Chief Whip's motion is that there are about 4 or 5 committees relevant here, and it will be too unwieldy. We are talking about 200 members sitting on a matter. Well, when they say too many hands spoil the broth. So he's suggesting that his amendment is an ad hoc committee, and this motion is basically about that the NNPC we need to do a thorough investigation as to its total consolidated inventory, assets and liabilities before they can transfer to NNPC Limited. And it's absolutely correct. So his amendment is to set up an ad hoc committee. Though any seconder. Chairman Transport. DJ.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. I represent Zaire Federal Constituency. I'm from Kaduna State. I rise to second the correction amendment being moved by the minority whip on the constitution of an ad hoc committee as an alternative to giving this assignment to about 4 committees. Also second.
I'm not minority whip. He said no, that will not use leadership.
That was seconded, right? Those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of the...
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Honorable Abbas, in the course of secondary amendment, he referred to me as minority whip. For his information, I am in the majority party. I am the chief whip. I am in the majority party. I am not in the minority party.
That was an error. You know, he's sitting behind the minority leader. That was an error.
But you are not on the Oya seat.
Is that all you are on PDP? I could only have 4 people clapping. That's all your number? Okay, APC members clap. You see, the difference is clear. Minority leader, the difference is clear. Okay, so those in favor of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. So this is another ad hoc committee. Leader, there's another committee we need to set up now. Please, let's do a 15-man ad hoc committee. Most of people who have capacity in the oil and gas industry, and also who are not saddled with a lot of work now, chairing or deputizing one committee or the other. We have other floor members who are not chairing and who are not deputizing and who are redundant. They should be able to help us out in this ad hoc committee, unless we find.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
I think in the light of the observations you made, then we don't need to rush it for today. Maybe we do it discreetly and come up with a fine list.
Very good.
As the chair pleases.
Very good. Thank you. So the 11th of the day is a motion calling for expansion of facilities at Osubi Warri Airport, standing in the name of Honorable Anthony Affe. Honorable Affe is invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, it seems Honorable Affe is not on the floor. I move that the motion be stepped down by the leader of the House. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Motion step down. There is a motion on urgent need to reconnect communities in Shongom local government area of Gombe State to the national grid, standing in the name of Honorable Karu Simon Elisha. Honorable Elisha is invited to move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, it seems, okay.
He's here. I thought I saw him earlier.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Karu Simon Elisha. I speak for the people of Kaltungo, Shongom Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Gombe State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the motion for the urgent need to reconnect communities in Shongom local government area of Gombe State to the national grid. The House notes that the project for the construction of 33 kVA lines from O in Shongom local government area of Gombe State to other towns and villages was initiated in 2013, but was subsequently destroyed by windstorms and vandals, leaving the project in an abandoned state. The House also notes that the scope of the project included transformer, substations, and town distribution networks from Lebeke, Pokata, O, Lawishi, Lelepido, Filia, Kushi, Burak, Gundale, Gwandum, Bangunji, and neighboring villages. The House is worried that the long absence for power supply has adversely affected socio-economic activities of the people and further increased the poverty rate within the affected communities. The House resolves to urge the Federal Ministry of Power to reconnect the Lepido, Lebeke, Pokota, O, Kushi, Gwandum, Pongunji, Urak, and other villages in Shongom local government area of Gombe State to the national grid. Mandates the Committee on Power to ensure compliance. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Honorable Bagos.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Dachu Musa Bagos, representing the good, great people of Just South, Just East Federal Constituency from the peaceful state of Plateau. I rise to second the motion as ably moved by my honorable colleague on the need to reconnect Shongom local government to the national grid. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Chief Whip, your deputy. Your deputy.
Deputy Chief Whip, please resume your seat.
Okay, so this is, it has been seconded, I believe. Utility motion. Let's put a question. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. There is a motion on call for to rehabilitate Amansi Uguoba Road in Enugu, of Enugu Onitsha axis. Standing in the name of Honorable Sam Chinedu Onwaso, Honorable Onwaso is invited to move the motion. Chief Deputy Whip, where's Deputy Whip? We haven't finished now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Sam Chinedu Onwaso. I represent the people of Oka North and South Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, I stand to raise this motion on the call to rehabilitate Amansi Uguoba Road axis of Enugu Onitsha Expressway. The House notes that Amansi Uguoba axis of the Enugu Onitsha Expressway is the major road that connects Anambra and Enugu states. The House also notes that the deplorable condition of the road calls for government's intervention, as road users spend 5 to 7 hours in the gridlock daily. The House further notes that the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, during an official visit to Anambra State, experienced a similar fate on Tuesday, 24th August 2021. The House is aware that the road has not witnessed any form of rehabilitation, as farmers find it difficult to transport farm produce during the rainy season. The House is concerned that with the deep potholes and gully erosion on the road caused by torrential rainfalls, it has not only become a death trap for commuters and residents of adjoining communities, but also a breeding ground for robbery and other criminal activities. The House resolves to urge the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to commence rehabilitation of the road to avoid further disaster and deterioration with the attendant hardships on commuters and residents. The House also resolves to also urge the Federal Road Maintenance Agency to provide palliative measures on the road to ease the movement of goods and services. The House mandates Committee on Works and FEMA to ensure compliance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I so move.
Who's seconding Chinedu? Honorable. No. We need a seconder first. We need a seconder. Seconder.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okudele Christopher is my name. I represent Orumba North, Orumba South, Federal Constituency from Anambra State. Mr. I rise to second the motion. Every move by Honorable Chinedu and was I so second. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Chinedu's motion is seconded by Honorable Wezengwa. So, before we put the question, you have an amendment, Honorable Johnson?
Yes, sir. The amendment is to collapse prayers 1 and 2. The reason being that we've been having that problem in both FEMA and works. Since it's a rehabilitation job, in most cases when we go on oversight, we discover that sometimes the same road is being rehabilitated by Ministry of Works. At the same time, FEMA is rehabilitating that road. I want to amend that we should just delete prayer 1 and just focus on prayer 2. That FEMA should go and rehabilitate the road so that there won't be duplication in future. Because we are always having that problem, interface problem with FEMA and Ministry of Works. So prayer 3, we just read mandate Committee on FEMA to that's all. Thank you, sir.
Oluga, can you second the amendment?
Right, Honorable Speaker. Respected colleagues, Taiwo Oluga is my name. I'm from Osun State, Urewali Federal Constituency. I rise to second the amendment as moved. I so second. Thank you.
Those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of the motion as amended, you have an amendment? Okay, what's the amendment?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Obina Chidoka, member representing Idemili North, Idemili South Federal Constituency of Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, I wanted to speak against the last amendment. I don't know, since it's been taken, I don't know if I still have the leave of the House to speak to this motion. This road he is referring to is just like the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. It's about the busiest in the southeast, cutting all the way to the north. And so every measure taken, in fact, I will ask for FEMA, for works, for any other agriculture, any other agency to go there and start. It's in a deplorable state. You can stay there 7 hours, no movement. So I don't see reason why Ministry of Work shouldn't be part of it. If they can get there first, the other road, Ministry of Work did it, while FEMA is also providing some palliative. So I don't want us to water it down, sir. It's a very, very important road. Amasi Road, ask him. The traffic goes more than 7 miles.
So are you speaking to the amendment that was made?
Yes, I sought for your leave to say that, if possible, we will leave the bill, the motion the way it is without making that.
So the only thing you can do now, because we put the question on it together, is to move for a rescission of that amendment.
Absolutely, sir.
Huh?
Absolutely, sir. I move, Right Honorable Speaker, with your leave, that we do a rescission on the last amendment to leave the motion the way it is, so that relevant agency, the prayers, can intervene in that road as quickly as possible, without any prejudice to him. I know he means well, but he doesn't understand the bad state of that road.
Any seconder? Honorable Gani, do you want to second that they rescind your motion? Any seconder? Honorable Vincent, you want to second? All right.
Honorable Speaker, my name is Vincent Ekene Ofumelu. I represent the good people of Oyi, and I am a federal constituency from Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, I'm not only rising to second the amendment, but to make a comment about the road. The road is so bad, such that if there is any way government can intervene as urgent as possible, that should be highly appreciated by the people of Anambra State. Mr. Speaker, having said so, I second the amendment that the said motion should remain as it were. I so second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, my colleagues.
The motion is to rescind the amendment that we've already passed by Honorable Gani Johnson. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The nays have it. Those in support of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it. The 14th order of the day is resumption of consideration of a bill for an act to establish the Vigilante Group of Nigeria, charged with responsibilities to, among others, provide community policing, maintenance of law and order, and community service for Nigerians and for related matters. Honorable members will recall that on Thursday, 18 November 2021, the House in the Committee of the Whole considered and approved clauses 1 to 10, clauses 12 to 30, the schedule, explanatory memorandum, the long title, and deferred clause 11. The House Leader will move for resumption of consideration. House Leader.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you, honorable members. Okay, that means moving. That means moving to committee of the whole. Oh? We have to move to the committee of the whole first. Okay. Honorable members, Alhassan Ado Dogwa is my name. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I represent the people of Dogwa Tudunwada Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I rise to respectively move that a bill for an act to establish the Vigilante Group of Nigeria, VGN, charged with the responsibilities to, among others, provide community policing, maintenance of law and order, and community service for Nigerians and for related matters, HB 437, a Senate bill, be considered. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move. I also have a bill for an act to provide for establishment of Federal University of Education, Kontagora, and for related matters, HB 1136, a Senate bill, to also be considered. A bill for an act to provide a legal framework to establish Medical Center Mubi, and for related matters, HB 1342, a Senate bill, be considered. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish National Transport Commission as an independent multimodal economic regulatory authority and to provide for legal framework for the economic regulation of transport services in the industry, and for related matters, HB 1082, a Senate bill, be considered. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I therefore move these 3 or 4 bills concurrently. Thank you.
Honorable Maki, please second.
Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, my names are Abubakar Maki Eleman. I'm from Jigawa State. I represent Maramodori Kaugama Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I stand to second the motion heavily moved by the leader of the 9th National Assembly. I so second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Those in support, please say aye. Those against, say the ayes have it. Considering of a bill for an act to provide for establishment of Federal University of Education, Kontagora, and for related matters, honorable members recall that the bill was committed to the Committee of the Whole on Tuesday, 12 October. The House Leader will move for its consideration. Leader. Oh, okay. Leader has taken all the 4. Okay, good. So the second that was for all the 4 too. All right. The 18th order of the day is considering of a report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to establish the Federal Medical Center, Cross River State, Ogoja, Cross River States, and for related matters. Honorable members will recall that the report was laid on Wednesday, 13th October 2021. Honorable Pascal Obi will move for its consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues. My name is Honorable Dr. Martin Soke. I represent the good people of Igwetiti, Uzowa, the Federal Constituency of Enugu State. I'm the Deputy Chairman of the House Committee on Health Institutions. Mr. Speaker, I move that the House do consider the report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to establish the Federal Medical Center of Goja, Cross River State, and for related matters, and approve the recommendation therein. I so move.
Any seconder? On money.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I am from Katsina State. Amin Ashirmani is my name, representing Bindamani. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion heavily moved by my colleague, and I so second. Thank you.
Okay, so motion moved by Dr. Okay, seconded by Honorable Mani. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. House Leader, well.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Abubakar Samfulata. I represent the new Agrika Sama Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Jigawa State. Mr. Speaker, I move that the House to suspend the provisions of Order 7, Sub-Rule 2.2, to enable Mr. Speaker to preside over the Committee of the Whole. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Seconder? Musa, please second.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Musa Mohamed Adamu. I represent Gajia Baba Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion heavily moved by my honorable colleague, I still second.
Thank you. Those in support, say aye. Those against, you say nay. Ayes have it. Ayes have it. Resolves to the Committee of the Whole. Honorable colleagues, the first bill to be considered is the bill for an act to establish the Vigilante Group of Nigeria charged with responsibilities to, among others, provide community policing, maintenance of law and order, and community service for Nigerians and for related matters. I invite Honorable Tajuddin to move for resumption of consideration of the bill. I think the only outstanding one is clause 11. I think that was the issue. Clause 11. So we're coming back to clause 11.
Honorable Chair, while I stand to request for the resumption of consideration of the bill to establish Vigilante Group of Nigeria charged with responsibilities to, among others, provide community policing, maintenance of law and order and community service for Nigerians and for related matters. I would also want to request for a rescission of Clause 6, Clause 12, and Clause 27 of the earlier consideration given last week, for the sole reason that, for example, Clause 11 and Clause 12 are linearly related. You cannot touch the issue of funding without making provision for pensions. So on that regard, I would want to move that the House should consider precision of these relevant clauses to enable us to effect the necessary corrections. I so move.
Any seconder to that? Agomani.
Mr. Chairman, I'm from Katsina State. I rise to second the motion heavily moved by my leader.
Honorable colleagues,
and I so second. Thank you.
Yes.
Whether we can go into rescission or he should propose an amendment to the ones that we want to do now to incorporate that clause that had been carried before. Since we had passed it and you approved the votes and procedure of that last week exercise, what he can do now that we are commencing this is for him to propose an amendment to that particular number that he wants inserted in this bill that we are back considering, instead of going back to what you had already approved.
I think a rescission can be made at any point in time. Even if we passed it 6 months ago or 3 months ago, which we would have read the votes and proceedings and approved it, a member can bring a motion for rescission at any time. If facts come up that that decision we made was not properly guided or was made, in error. The fact that we have done votes and proceedings does not foreclose the bringing of a motion for rescission, I think. So, yes. Yes, the motion for rescission has to be on notice, but it can also move, and I was going to go to that, it can move for suspension of our rules to make notice necessary, and if the House approves, then he can move his motion. But if the House doesn't approve, then he'll have to bring a motion on notice, and then we'll have to maybe even step down the consideration of this report or something. So maybe you move first for, yes.
So I put it on notice, so I will look at it and look at the error. I agree, no one can be all, therefore there must be errors. In such an error, and you deem it fit that we should rescind, we are asking us to recall what we've done, and the rule says put us on notice, so we can check and reason with you and be on the same page. If we come now and suspend the rules, it will negate the reasons for the rules to put us on notice. It's just like coming by ex parte in the court. If it's so serious, the court will say, put the other party on notice so people can come on page. We will lose nothing that will be thorough if we say, come on notice. Waiving the rules now will negate the rules. I agree that in urgent issues, you can ask that the rules be waived to do the needful. But in this instance, it's a grand move, it's deep, it's fundamental. It's asking us to change what we've done days behind. Therefore, we'll lose not 2 days to put us on notice. We'll come back and then, so we can do the needful argument. So we can reason with him. I so pray.
So Honorable Abonta makes a point that because of the kind of thing we are trying to rescind, that it's a decision that we've already made, that it will be better to put us on notice so that members will know exactly why we're rescinding our decision. But that does not, and he has admitted that you can still properly move for suspension even now, and that's the reason why we have that rule in our rule book for suspension. It doesn't say suspension of certain things. It says suspension of any rule. If the household deems it fit that the exigency of the moment calls for a suspension, even though it makes a point that the nature of this is that a decision we've already made. So it is for the House to determine. He has a point, but I don't know if you want to take it out or do you want to just continue delaying the consideration of the report, because that is what it will mean. So it's up to the, maybe, do you agree with, do you want to bring a motion on notice, or do you want the House to suspend its rules and allow you to take that motion on rescission? Either way, you run a risk one way or the other. So, because it will depend on the House.
Of relevant rules is sufficient to enable me move that those aspects, all those clauses, we want them to be integrated in this consideration suffice. So with your kind permission, I would want to move for the suspension of our relevant rules to enable me move for the rescission of those relevant clauses. I so move.
Okay, Honorable Mani, you want to second? Go ahead.
I still remain Aminu Ashimani representing Bindamani. Madam Speaker, I'm from Katsina State. I rise to second the motion moved by my leader, Ambassador D, and I so second. Thank you.
Okay, those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. So, you ask for your rescission and explain to members why you are rescinding. And then we put the question on whether they want us to rescind or not. That's the procedure.
Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, I rise to request for a rescission of clause 6, clause 12, and clause 27. I so move.
What are the reasons for the rescission?
Well, Mr. Chairman, the reason for the request for this rescission is because, like clause 12, if you alter clause 11, there is no way you can not touch clause 12, because clause 12 and clause 11 are linearly related. While one is talking about funding, the other is talking about provision for pension for employees of the proposed agency. So in the previous consideration, because we did not consider the issue of federal government financing the agency, we did not make any provision for pensions for the employees. So now that we have seen the wisdom of putting that agency as part of those agencies that the federal government should appropriate money to in the national budget, we felt it is expedient to also consider the pension aspect to enable them also enjoy what other civil servants are enjoying. So that's the reason why we felt that consideration of 11 alone is not going to be sufficient unless we consider clause 12 and amend it accordingly. Again, during the last exercise, some members raised the issue on clause 6, which I thought will be captured by the rules and business that that particular clause is not too comprehensive. We need to go back and redraft it, and that is why we felt that it is proper to bring it at this point for consideration. Likewise, clause 27 was also raised during the debate, during the consideration last time, on the qualification for appointment of members of the board of directors of the agency. And it was suggested during that particular debate that we need to be more specific, we should be more comprehensive in highlighting the qualifications that each and everyone should possess prior to appointment. So those are the things that we felt that for this bill to be more encompassing, more complete, we need to reconsider those approvals given earlier to change them so that they can stand the test of time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
What you said was that clause 12 will not make sense, or considering clause 11 will not make sense if clause 12 is left as it is. So that we need to reconsider the rescind decision on clause 12, correct?
Honorable Chair, before, if you look at
no,
the paper before
so
you,
we cannot consider clause 11 if we leave clause 12 the way it is. We have to rescind. That's what you're saying.
Yes, what we are saying.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Yes.
I just want to confirm that that's what you're saying.
If you consider clause 11.
I'm not debating it.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear that that's what you're saying, and that makes sense.
That's exactly what
that makes sense. That's for clause 12.
Yes.
But clause 6, you said clause 6 needs to be redrafted.
Yes, sir.
So that redrafting, is it going to be done here?
It's just insertion. We are just inserting a clause. We are not taking anything away, but we are inserting a clause. As you can see, clause 6 of the bill is amended to insert the following new subclauses after existing subclause 1.
What of clause 27?
Another clause 1B, 1A, and 1B. That is just what we are proposing.
What of clause 27?
Pardon?
Clause 27.
Clause 27 is in respect of qualification for appointments.
So what do you want to do now?
The earlier provision did not specify who qualifies to be a member of the board, but in this particular amendment I'm proposing today, we are given a more explicit suggestion as to who should be a member of the board.
Okay.
What people were complaining the other time was that it was too vague and ambiguous. So we need to be more explicit in defining who a member should be. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Samson.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Honorable Samson Oku, member representing Odu of the Federal Constituency from Benue State. In as much as I don't have any problem with the rescission, but the clause 27 that is talking about talked about the qualification. Because if you are talking about somebody who will benefit from pension, you should tell at the time that he wants to enter the service, the time of recruitment into that vigilante, is it going to be that he has age? Because you must have a particular year before you entitle to the pension. So if clause 27, which is based on the qualification, did not deal on that, because the one I've seen here is talking about the qualification as this thing, how to call it, certificate. It's not talking about the age of service upon the person entering into the service.
No, qualification is age, qualification is certificate, qualification is all those things. That's why he wants to be more specific and redraft it. I think that's what he was saying.
I am very worried, sufficiently worried, the chairman, on the qualification 27. The previous ones that where the minister will even regulate, I seem more comfortable. The one says, look at the qualification, a minimum of first school living certificate, Mr. Speaker. For qualification, you're talking of board. First school living certificate in this present state of the nation, Nigeria, realities.
So you are, in other words, we'll get to that. In other words, you are agreeing with him that we need to rescind so that we can consider those things again. That's what you are agreeing with him for rescission.
I am saying, yes.
Wow.
I am saying that we must define what is.
Yes, that's what he's saying, that to be more specific. You are saying the same thing in a different way. But the question we need to find out, do we agree to rescind? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Those three clauses. Now that we've rescinded those three clauses, we go to clause 6. So what is your proposal? Then we can talk about
Honorable Chair.
So that they can capture it properly.
As you can see in the paper before you, the earlier provision made was under the first line command structure. The provision made was that the vigilante group shall be under overall command of the Commandant General of the vigilante group. And then clause 6.2 states that the state commands, local government area commands, and ward commands respectively. The amendment we are seeking here is that clause 6 of the bill should be amended so that we can insert another subclauses after existing subclause 1. That is 1A and 1B. And the 1A reads, the board shall appoint for the vigilante group such number of deputy commandants, general commandants, commandant generals, commandants and such officers on other ranks as it may deem fit for the purpose of the group. Then the second amendment is 1B, and it reads that the terms and conditions of service, including salaries, allowances, benefits, and pensions of regular members of the vigilante group shall be as determined by the board using same criteria as the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps with the approval of the minister. This is the proposal we have before you, sir.
Okay, so clause, yes.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm also worried again that of the central federal nature of this. We've been battling with police and people are talking about state police and so on. With this command now, it's unitary, centralized. With this, I agree. This is now fashioned after our present police, which will all be here crying. So how do we restructure it, reframe it, to give states, local government, some level of authority? We just replicated what's happening in police, whatever here. And every day here as well, we'll be talking about police and state and all whatnot. So, yes, I want it's written in English, very well drafted, well drafted. So what do we do to make sure that it is federal in nature? This is unitary. With the part of restructuring we're crying in Nigeria is how do we unbundle, how do we restructure, how do we reflect through federalism? We are creating an agency, very, very necessary, very good command, but it's been structured, Mr. Speaker. In my humble opinion, we should give it some kind of federal look. If I read, if the two shall be under the overall, Mr. Speaker, it's unitary, meaning that man on the top controls from Port Harcourt to Sokoto, from whatever. I should think the state, we should do in a way that I don't know. Time is so far spent that I will have been able to.
So do you have so that we don't go into debate because this is now considering a report. If you have an amendment to that, then we propose it and we put the question. But he has included 1A and 6A and 61A and 61B. So we'll take 61A as amended. 61A as amended, carried. 61B as amended, carried. About that, did you have an amendment to?
Sorry?
Did you have an amendment? No. I carried 1A and 1B. He talked about something about overall. That is a totally different. No. Okay. It's not 1C. He read something. Yes. What did you read and what clause was that?
My worry, I said, is.
That was clause 1? Oh, no, we passed that thing. And we didn't receive clause 1. Okay. All right. Clause 12. No, clause 12. You rescinded clause 12. So, what do we do now? No, clause 11. We go to clause 11. Clause 11. Clause 12, are we carrying it again, or is there an amendment to clause 12? Carry? What's your point of order, Honorable Solomon?
Wait first. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. I know by our rules, anytime a point of order arises, it has to be taken. I thank you for your grace in giving the privilege. I want to point out something, and that is related to what Honorable Bonta was talking about. I am sorry that he might have been coming a bit late. But my view is that the philosophy of this whole bill for me is questionable.
Sorry?
The philosophy behind this whole bill for me is, I question it. This one is not without prejudice to. Excuse me, sir.
You are questioning the bill.
Exactly.
No, we can't go back now.
I know.
We can't go back.
On record that I was here and the bill like this was read and I kept quiet. I want to be known that I question the philosophy behind this act. And my view, the simple reason is that there are many state vigilante laws. Where would they find themselves in view of this proposal? You know, so, to have a central command, where would the state laws? My state, for instance, is just a law. If you fancy, a law is still born, but we are going ahead with it. Lagos State has one, other states have one. So where would they fit into this new bill we're proposing? And like Albonta said, we need to be.
So maybe you come with a motion to rescind the whole bill, and then we put the question. Because we passed that stage of debate.
Can I move now?
We passed that stage of debate. You are debating the bill. You are debating the bill.
I didn't carry anything. I didn't carry it. I didn't carry it.
Clause 27.
It's already passed. Delay the difficulty even in law. Sorry.
Clause 37. Carried? Okay, clause 37. Are you sure I didn't hit the gavel? We hit the gavel, oh.
Regulation. If you see the amendment sought, it's about qualification. They have no relationship at all. I'm not against the amendment, but putting it under 27 will mess everything up. We can create a new section for the amendment sought instead of putting it under regulation. Regulation is like making regulation for everything about it.
So what's your proposal?
My proposal is for us to create another section for 27 amendment. Thank you, sir. Because it's about
so create the section now, because we're going to put the question. Create another section.
Okay, let me insert it under the because it's an establishment bill, and we know that at the beginning where they are creating the board and everything, we can put the qualification. Other than this.
Honorable Chair, under this clause 27, you can see that we have created another subclause, that's 27A, and based on the advice of the committee you set up for us to look at this holistically, of which the majority whip has chaired, we saw it expedient that that correction is supposed to be embedded in this particular clause. That was the unanimous decision, and we invited even the clerk of rules, the clerk of clerks was the technical advisor through this particular exercise. So I believe
That was what
where we
informed.
put it-
That was what informed your.
Exactly.
Yeah, but having heard from somebody else, do you think there? Because that's why we're here. You know, the two heads are better than one. What do you think of his proposal?
Well, there is no any conflict in as much as it will be reflected in any part. Even if we so decide that clause 27 is not appropriate, if we can create another clause just to specifically.
What clause would that be? Clause what would that be?
There must be qualification. Even here, if we leave it since clause 27A and clause 27 are different, they can still flow.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think, I don't think anything has been left. We have clause 27. The subhead is regulation. We have 27A, another subhead. There is nothing talking about qualification. Nothing has been missed, and nothing is being contradicted.
Okay. Clause 27. The second bill to be considered is for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal University of Education, Kontagora, and for related matters, I invite Honorable Abubakar Hassan Fulata.
Mr. Chairman, we don't have copies of all these reports.
You don't have copies?
Yes.
Do we have copies?
We have copies.
Can somebody give Honorable Babangida a copy? Since you all have copies, but he doesn't. Honorable Fulata, yeah. It's your bill and you're supposed to be the chairman. How come he doesn't have a copy?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a Senate bill transmitted.
Chairman, sorry. I'm sorry, sir, to bring the attention of the chair that a bill to be considered from a bill from the Senate to be considered here should be taken by the leader of the House. So sorry.
Point of information, Mr. Chairman.
What's the information?
Yeah, I was asked in the absence, the leader was not around at that time. Yeah, two of them were not around. I was asked by the presiding officer then to, since the Senate bill and is for concurrence, I was asked to take up the bill.
So that's
Sorry.
In that context,
Mr. Speaker, even when the chairman House Committee on Rules and Business acted in that capacity, he was acting as leader of the House of Representatives. Now that the leader, the deputy leader are seated here, he does not have whatever reason to continue with it. What he did in the circumstance, he was doing it in the capacity of the office of the House leader. So Plata, please be guided and take your seat.
Thank you. So there are two issues. The leader will take it, and then the question raised by Babangida, maybe we should just apologize that he doesn't have a copy so we can move on. Because his observation is correct that he doesn't have a copy.
Second, Clerk, let's have more copies for members, please.
How many clauses are we considering on this bill? It's a concurrence bill, Abi. The copies are there. So how come people are saying they don't have copies? When were the copies circulated? So how come we're only circulating a few? Clerk, how come only a few members have copies? Honorable Babangida, you're right, but let's just, for the moment, there are only 4 clauses. You are absolutely correct. Please, we can't be giving some members copies and some, no, we can't do that. Now, even if they came late, I mean, there should be enough copies. Leader, do you just go straight to the clauses, or do you still want to give us a synopsis?
The chair pleases, sir, but this is
Since
straightforward.
you displaced the chairman business.
I think what I would rather crave the indulgence of the chair to do is to give synopsis of the whole bill at the same time so that we save our legislative time, if you allow me. Bill number 15, number 16, 17. I think I can give concurrently.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, honorable members, Ado Dogwa is my name. Honorable members, I represent the people of Dogwa, Tudunwada Federal Constituency, and by Allah's will and by your leave, the leader of the 9th House of Representatives. Mr. Speaker, I rise to give a brief synopsis of this bill, especially Bill 15, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal University of Education, Kontagora, and for related matters, HB 1136, which of course is a Senate bill. Mr. Speaker, it is for the establishment of Federal University in a place which I believe a lot of our members here would like to have an institution of this nature in that area. Not because of the need to have our young ones educated at tertiary level, but if you look at, for instance, the proximity of that particular community with other federal institutions, I think it's only apt if we provide this Federal University in Kontagora. And more specifically, Mr. Speaker, I would like to also draw the attention of the chair and the members that in this bill that we are going to consider today, clauses 10, 27, 28, and clause 29 were basically omitted in the first draft of the bill, even at the Senate when it was considered. So it was the wish of this House at a particular sitting that we now agreed that these 3 or 4 fundamental clauses be brought back into the context and the content of the bill, because apparently without these 4 clauses included or captured in the bill would have a lot to lose. And the establishment of the university without these clauses definitely will be like an action in futility. So, Mr. Speaker, clause 10, 27, 28, and 29 were later captured here to make the bill quite more comprehensive and to allow for the establishment of a federal university that will function for the betterment of the people and will all the parameters, the instrumentality of a university to function effectively. Mr. Speaker, that is for Bill 15. Bill 16 is also another establishment bill which seeks to establish for a framework to establish Federal Medical Center in Mubi and for related matters, a Senate bill. Mr. Speaker, I feel with the challenges we have in various ways, especially as it affects healthcare delivery, establishment of a Federal Medical Center in Mubi, Adamawa State, I think is a welcome idea. I plead with members to look at this thing with passionate commitment to allow these people to have a benefit of a federal tertiary health institution in such a very, I wouldn't like to say a remote, but it's a rural community that should be given the opportunity to have this kind of establishment, especially in the light of some of the emerging health challenges, the COVID-19, the different waves of it, community outbreaks in whatever. I think this will help the people of Mubi State and surrounding areas. Mubi, you know, is a border town. So I think we need to have a model town where you have comprehensive health institutions at the borders of our country. So having a federal medical center in Mubi, I think is a good idea, and I plead with members to please support for the right consideration of the establishment of a federal medical center in Mubi. Mr. Speaker, Bill 17 is a bill for an act to establish National Transport Commission as an independent multimodal economic regulatory authority and to provide for a legal framework for the economic regulation of transport services in the transport industry. Mr. Speaker, I think this is a good initiative. The mover of this motion in the Senate and those in the House, in the Senate, and those of us who are going to consider the bill here, I think is a bill that is well informed, and having the need to create this institution or create or provide for this framework to regulate the activities of private transportation in the country, I think is a good idea, and I plead with members to allow for the consideration of this bill. Mr. Speaker, thank you for the time, and I thank honorable members to allow me to take the whole bill concurrently. Thank you, and God bless all of you.
Okay, so we go to the bill for an act to provide for the Federal University of Education in Kontagora. Clause, yes, yeah, observation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues. My name is Babangida Ibrahim. I'm representing Malumfashi, Kafur, Federal Constituency.
Mr. Speaker, point of order. I think Kontagora, Honorable Babangida, with due respect, you are a ranking member. We have come to a stage when we are ready to consider the report.
Yeah, but there's an error.
Hold on. If you have any observation, then you wait until we get to clause 10, but not at the commencement of consideration.
But that's clause 10 now.
Please be guided. When we get to clause 10,
He has already announced clause 10 now. That's the first clause. What are you saying?
Okay, go ahead.
Clause 10 is the first clause.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
In order to respect our rules and bring decorum to our proceedings, when a member rises off to make an observation, the other member should please resume his seat. We are not here for a shouting match. We have procedures, rules and regulations guiding our decorum, our etiquette, and our standards of behavior. Immediately a member rises to bring a point of order or an observation, the other member that is on his speech should please resume his seat. We are not in a shouting match. That is observation.
So who raised that, so that will be clear? The leader raised the point of order.
Yes, immediately the leader raised the point of order, Babangida should sit down. Okay. Until when he finishes his observation. And then just, the two of them should not be standing and then shouting.
At the same time, okay.
At the same time.
Thank you, Chief Whip. Thank you. Clause 10, yes.
Well, Mr. Chairman, honorable colleagues, my name is Babangida Ibrahim. I'm representing Malumfashi Kafur, Federal Constituency. I'm from Katsina State. Mr. Chairman, I want us to look at clause 10, 1E, and clause 10, 1G. I think they are the same. So we have to delete one of them, or we mark them.
You think E and G are the same? They're not the same. E and G are not the same.
Mr. Speaker, we are talking about sources of funding for the university, gift, legacies, endowments, and donation, not accepted for a particular purpose. Then if you look at J, it's still talking about donation and legacies.
You said G?
I said J.
Oh, J.
J. E and J.
Yeah, G, they seem to be the same. I thought you said G. Yeah, they seem to be the same.
So, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, sir.
Yeah.
So I think on the strength of the very rightful observation made by Honorable Babangida, I rise to move and seek for your indulgence and that of the House that we sustain the first clause and delete the last one, J, since they seem to be basically the same in content and in context.
Well, I think J is more comprehensive because the first one talks about particular purposes.
Okay.
Wait.
So the J is more comprehensive. So we delete E.
I think, yeah. So all gifts are accepted, is what it means. Okay. So clause 10 E is deleted.
Agreed.
So 10 as amended, carried. Clause 11. Oh, sorry. Clause 27. Carried. Clause 28. Carried. The third bill to be considered is an act to provide a legal framework to establish the Federal Medical Center, MUBI, and for related matters. Leader has already given the synopsis, so we'll go straight to that. And we start with clause 1, clause 2. Clause 6. Honorable Gimba, any objection to clause 6?
Your Excellency, we don't even have copies of the bill.
Please, can somebody give Honorable Gimba his own copy?
No copies, Your Excellency.
So you have no objection to clause 6? She's just coming from Maiduguri, but she's here. Clause 7. Clause 9. 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. Clause 15, power to accept gifts. 16, annual estimates. Annual report, clause 17. Borrow, clause 18. Clause 19. Exemption from customs, clause 20. '22. '23. Cleaners, clause 24. Clause 25. 27. 28. Okay. Explanatory memorandum. Long title, carried. The fourth order of the day is, or the fourth bill rather, to be considered is the act to establish the National Transport Commission as an independent multi-modal economic regulatory authority and provide for a legal framework for the economic regulation and transport service of transport services in the industry. And for related matters, I am Honorable Fulata. Is that you? We'll just go straight to the clauses. Clause 1. Carried. 8 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20. Any objections? Honorable Giba, do you have a copy of this one?
Your Excellency, we are just following the verbal discussion in the spirit of generosity and support for the very important bill, but we don't have a copy.
You don't have a copy?
No.
This is really terrible. 20 to 25, 25 to 30, 30 to 30. Honorable Uju, any objection? 30 to 35? Uju Kingsley, any objection? 7. Honorable Johnson, carried. Honorable Bagos, carried. Minority Leader, any objection? Honorable, what clause are we now? What clause? Clerk, you are not even following. What clause are we? 39. Honorable Elumelu, clause 40, objection? Two. 3. 45 to 50 to 55. Chief Whip, 50 to 55, any objection? Okay. 55 to 60. 3. 64. 65. 65 to 70. 70 to 75. Am I in order? Is this against our rules?
Point of order. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, I'm surprised, going by the acceptable lexicon of this institution.
Yeah.
Under no circumstances, anybody on the floor should say the chair is out of order.
Did he say so?
He said so. He said, am I right? He said, you are not.
No, you can't say so now.
Please be guided. Yes.
I interpret the rules now.
Yes.
I was just saying that.
I'm sure even the question that am I right was what we call
a rhetorical question.
A rhetorical question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Speaker, the leader is just imputing
rhetorical.
The rule says that you go clause by clause.
Yes.
If I tell you 70 to 75, I am going clause by clause.
So even when the chair in session asks whether am I right, no creature on the floor should say no.
No, but he may
be guided.
He may be right. Oh yeah, tell me. No. I want to put him in his place. Oh yeah, tell me what it is. Tell me. Okay. Page 76, under order 12. Procedure of bills in the committee of the whole house. The chairman of the committee shall call the number of each clause in succession, or the first and last numbers of a group of clauses. Correct? The first and last number of a group of clauses. Correct? Thank you. So I'm in order. The chairman.
Sir, what I said is clearly the position.
Yes.
No human being, not even an opposition leader, no human being on the floor here will look at the chair and say, you are wrong. No human being. Please be guided.
70 to 75. 75 to 80. To 90. 91. 92. 95. 95 to 100. You see, the people who drafted our rules in their wisdom, we can have a bill of 400 clauses. If we go through them one by one, we'll be here till 9 p.m. Yes. Yes. 101. 101 to
End.
109.
wait.
Mr. Chairman.
Huh?
109.
(101 to 100 and
Mr. Chairman, sir.
210.
Carried.
Citation. Mr. Chairman,
Citation.
sorry.
110 citation.
I have a privilege.
What's your privilege?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, my colleague, the House Leader, made a submission that in fact he used the word no human being. I don't want us to live here and giving the press an impression of Mr. Speaker. You are not a speaker that does not listen to when your colleagues speak. And you are not a dictator. So the word no human being, to me, makes you a dictator, and you are not. So I want it corrected so that the press will not go and write tomorrow morning. You will see the front pages of newspaper, Mr. Speaker, now a dictator. And that is why I'm standing up to correct that impression, because
Mr.
You've
Speaker,
just given
Chairman.
them a lead what to write down.
Mr. Chairman.
You think you are smart, right?
Mr. Chairman.
The opposition leader.
Mr. Chairman.
You're just giving them a lead. You know what you are doing now?
Mr. Chairman.
You know what you are doing? Yes.
Yes, sir. No, because
Yes, sir.
That was altruistic.
the chief whip said when one is standing, the other should sit.
I'm raising my hand.
And
I'm seated.
I'm still making my submission.
Okay, oh, yes.
So, in my opinion, it would be nice that each time we're using our languages, or we want to make a statement, we choose the kind of language we use so that it is not misinterpreted outside to mean something else. Because I believe, like I want to still repeat, you are not, just if I may borrow the language of Chief Whip, you are not a dictator. And that is this simple reason why I stood up here to correct that impression that no human being.
It was a hyperbole. I think the leader was trying to drive home a point of tradition. But I'll allow the leader. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. And I thank my respected colleague, the leader of the few members on the floor of the House. Mr. Speaker, what I was trying to say, like you rightly pointed out, is like when somebody is in the chair, either in the person of the Speaker or the Deputy Speaker, in this kind of proceedings, that is Committee of the Whole, or at plenary, when the Speaker is presiding, we have acceptable norms, we have acceptable lexicon to which you can address the personality of the person in the chair, either in the Committee of the Whole or at plenary. When Mr. Speaker said, whether by omission or commission said, am I right? I only want to put it to you and to every other respected member here that no one on the floor should say, no, you are not right. We have better lexicon to address the chair. The Speaker in the chair at plenary, or the chairman of the Committee of the Whole in the chair during a Committee of the Whole is assumed to be protected by our rules that he is always right. So when you have a point to observe, maybe you just quickly say point of order. Or you quickly say an information, sir. But it is not right for someone to address the personality of the person presiding over Even when he asked question, which I believe was rhetorical, you say, you are not right. Am I right? Then Flatter quickly shouted and said, no, you are not. That is the point I'm making. Our speaker cannot be a dictator.
Objection.
Our speaker cannot be a dictator. Our speaker is not a dictator. Our speaker is the most friendly speaker we have ever had on the floor of this house. I have said this separately. Very humble. Very humble.
You're in order. You're in order.
I can understand, Mr. Chairman, like you rightly pointed out, the leader of the opposition is only trying to suggest very cheaply headlines for the newspapers. Headlines, but tomorrow you say the speaker is so.
You know,
I believe our reasonable reporters, our professionally trained news and media men will never be that mischievous. I am one of them. When I get out of this floor, I will be back in the newspaper room or any media organization, maybe as an editor or a reporter. I believe my colleagues who were trained professionally to report objectively will never make such insinuation. The speaker is not a dictator.
you guys are all in big trouble, possibly in 2023, because there's a possibility that, as the leader has said publicly, that he might be on this seat. You are in trouble, all of you. All of you are in trouble. Leader, well done.
It's not coming back. We have annulled their...
Wait.
Mr. Speaker.
Bago, you are saying that what? That what?
Point of privilege, sir.
Yes.
Dogo had just said that he was going to go back to the press room. So he knows very well that his camp, we have alienated their camp. So thank you for being a leader in this assembly. He can't pass this level, sir.
What I said, sir.
Leader, please, you must respond to this.
Mr. Speaker, even though in a lighter mood, I think what I said were not in parables. I said clearly, after serving my country, Nigeria, in a parliamentary capacity, at the very tail end, even if I became president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I would be glad to be back in the newsroom. I want the pressmen to quote me, that at the end of my parliamentary or political responsibility as a Nigerian, even after being the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I would like to go back home and and operate in the newsroom.
In 2023.
I will go back to my proud profession to serve as a newscaster or to serve as a reporter or to serve as an editor. Thank God Honorable Bago does not have any profession. He read sociology. He read sociology. Someone who read sociology does not have any profession. So he will continue to run for member. You win your election you win your election in Mina. Come to the floor here, run for a speakership, and you lose, and you will continue to lose.
Mr. Speaker, he can also cry.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I think I'm so happy that I raised this point of order. You know, in my dialect, there's a saying that when you start eating the food, you will discover the seeds inside the food. You can see the revelation that is coming as to those who had earlier made a submission that they were done and they were going back to their private practice, and suddenly made a U-turn to say, no, I'm not done with my... But what is important, Mr. Speaker, that I was driving at, he has corrected it, that you are not a dictator. And that was what... No, it's very important. He has corrected it, Mr. Speaker, you heard him. And that was it. Honestly speaking, I meant well for this floor. I don't want us to go out and the press will go and report something totally different. I will have cause to begin to defend that.
The press won't do that unless you keep hammering it. The press will not do that. Honorable Gilbert, do you have a comment? Honorable Gilbert, no comment. This one you don't need the paper.
Can I make a comment?
Hold on, she's on her feet.
I can make some comments. Mr. Speaker, I actually have a comment here because I totally disagree with the comments made by the minority leader. Because the expression the leader of the House has given has nothing to relate, Mr. Speaker, being a dictator. The only... Yes, and Honorable Babangida, are you making any corrections for me?
Honorable Gimba is on her feet.
God bless you, Gimba. Please fire on.
Subject of discussion is Adodogwa.
What I'm trying to mention is that I think we should, as much as possible, try to understand things without communications, without any disruption, or at least without mispresentation. Sometimes, if you paraphrase somebody's statement, you will end up disrupting the whole message given. And I think the explanation and counter-explanation given is very apt, and I'm in support of what the majority leader has mentioned. Majority. Thank you.
No, you know, one other problem.
Thank you very much. We'll soon round up. Honorable Bago.
One other problem we have is that, you know...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You see, if wishes were horses, some people would wish, to be here in the next assembly. But from the verdict of yesterday, some people have lost count completely. That means they don't have chances of coming back to this floor. So I think this is a pre-validatory session for Adodogwa. We thank you for having served your country in your capacity, and also for jumping from one camp to the other. But our history will not judge us fairly if we don't stand up today to say, as a leader of this parliament, your comment and your referral to the speaker as a dictator cannot be condoned.
No, he didn't. Oh, you mean the minority leader?
No. Adodogwa said that, sir, the leader. But, Mr. Speaker, because of the party affiliation, I'm sure you want to give him that protection. However, maybe after the appeal court judgment, you will see him in another camp. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I think we've had enough for today.
So, sir, he's been, what he's doing is like contempt of the court.
Contempt. He's stammering, sir. He's stammering.
Appeal court, and he's still talking. What he's doing is contemptuous.
Obina, you want to round up?
Yes. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. This afternoon, Mr. Chairman, this afternoon has been very interesting. What the leader have just said and has demonstrated, and also been revealed by the minority leader, is that you are not a Leviathan. If you look at the dictionary, what a Leviathan is. But it's been understood that you're not a Leviathan. You're father of all. You're the man who is in charge and carrying everybody along. And so also, by the revelations we've had this afternoon, I've meant to understand that there are divisions within the APC. That is why you see there's a difference between the leader and Mr. Bago. And then in the next house, we expect to see we want to see the whip on this side, and Ndudu possibly on that side where you're seated. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
And then
you definitely cannot chair that committee we were talking about. That's not possible.
No, that one has been agreed, Mr. Speaker. That one has been agreed. I thought I said you're not a Leviathan. You're not a Leviathan. You are the father of all.
Okay.
From Anambra State to
the possible incoming, please move. That will move to. Oh,
first let's finish.
First schedule carried. Explanatory memorandum. Long title. Possible incoming, please move for revised.
Thank you. Thank you. Which bill? Which bill?
Oh, there's one more?
No more.
Committee on Health.
It has not been taken because they no, I didn't take that one.
No,
I
he didn't take
the
it.
last
though.
one because
So,
the sponsor is not here.
yeah, but we'll just take it. Clause 1,
Okay.
clause 2, clause 3, clause 4. Clause 5, clause 6, clause 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 to 15, 16, 15 to 20, 20 to 25, 26, 27, 28. Okay, the 27 is scheduled. Short title, explanatory memorandum, long title. The potential incoming, please.
God bless you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Speaker, I rise as directed. For those who understand the Speaker's language, they know what it means. Mr. Speaker, I think before I move, that we move to the plenary, I would like to crave the indulgence of our members, especially at the committee level, more particularly the Committee on Appropriation. We need to look at the amount of money to vote into the security sector so seriously because of the challenge we are facing. Because I'm foreseeing a problem. By 2023, there are some states where elections cannot even be held because of insecurity problem. And one state is just to the west, immediately to the west of the border of the FCT. And I hope the committee chairman on appropriation will make a very sufficient provision for security. And those states whose governors publicly declared that he is not in control, he is not the chief security officer of the state says clearly that I'm not in charge, I'm not in control of the security of the place.
No,
Elections may not hold in
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Speaker, I move.
we take exception to this.
I move that this House do revert to plenary to report progress, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you.
Honorable Bago, please second.
Mr. Speaker, before I second, I need to put people to their right perspective. Mr. Speaker, unless somebody is telling us that he is part of the problem of this country and is abreast with the plans of the people who are bringing insecurity to us, we are not sure somebody will sit in this chamber and predict what's going to happen tomorrow, unless he's giving us information as a form of espionage. So, Mr. Speaker, there is need for us to form a committee to investigate Adodogwa and his activities with the bandits. But a point of information, Niger State government is in charge and we are living very well now. We have driven the people that have come from Dogwa to stay in our place back to their respective villages. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order.
So,
I now second that we move to the plenary. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order.
Committee to investigate the House leader is hereby set up. Member, Honorable Bago. The Deputy Chairman, Honorable Bago. Chairman, Honorable Bago.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
I want to draw the attention of Mr. Speaker. You know, yesterday Mr. Bago has shown that he has been given an honorary degree from a Cotonou University. Cotonou. Yeah. So I want to know whether he has taken permission before accepting this honorary degree, Mr. Speaker, because it's against our rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Right of response. Mr. Speaker, you see, people need to understand that people make committees. Committees don't make people. When you are saddled with responsibility to chair a committee on cooperation and integration of Africa, it means you have the mandate of the parliament to interact and interface with African parliaments, one, African institutions. In my course of doing my own parliamentary duty, I have been honored by the African Institute of International Relations and Diplomacy in Abuja, again given a fellowship by the Estem University in Benin Republic. So I expected my colleague here, who lacks the capacity to move his committee, to be appreciative of...
Honorable Bago.
No, Mr. Speaker, he said this
all he
on our
asked was that
platform.
whether you have had permission. Now you are attacking his... no, all he asked was, did you
Mr.
take permission?
Speaker, you know the lines very well. They are very, very clear when you see envy. He said this on our platform and I responded, and now he has said it to the television, and I'm telling him that it's not for sale. When you earn it, you get it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So those in support that we move to plenary before this thing gets to this comment issue, say hi, please. Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable colleagues, the House and the Committee of the Whole considered the report on a bill for an act to establish the Vigilante Group of Nigeria, charged with responsibilities to, among others, provide community policing, maintenance of law and order, and community service for Nigerians, and for related matters, and resume consideration and approved clauses 6, 11, 12, and 27 of the report. Also, the House and the Committee of the Whole consider the report on a bill for an act to provide for establishment of Federal University of Education, Kontagora, and for related matters, resume consideration and approve clause 10 as amended, clauses 27, 28, and 29 of the report. The House and the Committee of the Whole also consider the report on the bill for an act to provide the legal framework to establish Federal Medical Center, MUBI, and for related matters, and approve clauses 1 to 28, the schedules, the long title, and the explanatory memorandum of the report. And finally, well, not finally, actually, the House and the Committee of the Whole consider the report on a bill for an act to establish the National Transport Commission as an independent multimodal economic regulatory authority and provided for a legal framework for the economic regulation of transport services in the industry and for related matters. Approve clauses 1 to 110. It schedules the long title and explanatory memorandum of the report. And finally, the House and the Committee of the
Honorable
Whole
Bagos, approach the Chief Whip.
considered the report of the Committee on Health Institutions on a bill for an act to establish Federal Medical Center, Ogoja, Cross River State, and for related matters, and approved clauses 1 to 27, the long title and the explanatory memorandum of the report. The Leader of the House, please now move that we adopt the reports of the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable Femi Bajabia Mila, the Garkuan Yauri. My name is Honorable Alhassan Ado Dogwa, representing the good people of Chudunwada Dogwa Federal Constituency. Honorable members, I am from Kano State. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I rise to move that the report of the Committee of the Whole as taken in respect of Bill number 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 on the order paper, and appropriately reported by the Speaker and the Chair, be adopted. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I so move.
Thank you. Those in support, please say aye. Leader, please second. No, the junior leader. Congratulations. Junior leader, please second.
The chair is always right.
Very right. It's very right to the effect that you have 92 chairmen. Go and harmonize them, please. Mr. Speaker, I remain Honorable Ndudi Godwin Elimelu, and I represent the good people of Anyocho Shimrifera constituency, and of course, I belong to PDP. I rise to second the motion as moved. We don't have factions, you know. Even in Ogun State, you have two factions. I saw second.
Okay. Those in support, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it. Honourable members, the ad hoc committee on recovery of outstanding debts by the federal government, by the oil companies, Kingsley Uju, Ifeanyi Moma, Idahosa Dennis, Eta Mbora, Taiwo Luga, Henry Abbas Adigun, Abdullah Ibrahim Halims, Honorable Benjamin Mzondu, Victor Mela, Bashir Mashara, Mazif Sani, Honorable Musa Fagengau, Mohamed Bagaje, Vincent Ofumelu, Honorable Ahmed Munir, the sponsor of the motion, Amsu Ibrahim, Honorable Obino Chidoka. From my understanding, the chair will be the deputy whip, Honorable Kiruka. Honourable members, I now invite the House Leader to move that the House adjourn.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, honourable members. I rise as directed by the Speaker to move that this House do adjourn to tomorrow, the 2nd day of December, by 11 a.m. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Ndudi Godwin Edmelu, and I represent the good people of Anocho Shmil-Ferran constituency. I'm from Delta State. I rise to second the motion moved by the House Leader. I so second.
Thank you. Those in favor, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. The ayes have it.